What's up, guys? This is MLB Talk 123 along with Gold Sports here recording our third or fourth podcast show here tonight for Birds and Bears. We'll be talking about the Cubs, Cardinals, and a lot of other things, so stay tuned for that. We're going to have Gold Sports go first talking about the Chicago Cubs, so take it away.
Chicago Cubs this week. Another average week for them, 4-6 their last 10. But more trade rumors starting to circle up. Names starting to come into the talks. Guys like Starlin Castro, Darwin Barney, and Alfonso Soriano starting to pop up more and more. Reportedly, the Mariners have asked about Starlin Castro, and they're also going after a few other hitters. So maybe a deal could get done then. I don't think that's very likely though. Also, they haven't said what team specifically yet, though, but teams have contacted the Cubs about second baseman Darwin Barney. It'd be interesting to see if he goes because he's one of their good young players, so I don't know how reluctant they're going to be to move him. Also, the Braves look like they're becoming more and more interested in both Matt Garza and Ryan Dempster, and they're pushing harder for Matt Garza. Obviously, most teams want Matt Garza over Ryan Dempster, but seems like they'd be happy with either one of them at this time, so we'll be looking for those guys to be on the move soon. Also, more talks about Alfonso Soriano. Even though he has this big contract, the Cubs have said they are likely to eat up most of that contract, so just kind of what teams are interested in him or not. Cubs, again, not looking too good though, but hopefully soon we'll be getting some new prospects in here and maybe getting some young guys called up to the majors before soon enough.
Yes, some exciting trade talk. We'll get to that very soon. So if you want to hear more about some interesting trade talk, just wait a little bit. But the Cardinals, we had a pretty slow start to the week. We've gotten better. We had a week 6-10 the last 10 games. Here's the problem with the Cardinals. Very simply, number one, injuries. Lance Berkman, Chris Carpenter, John Jay for a while, Matt Carpenter, Jaime Garcia. The list literally goes on and on at one point or another this season who have been injured. We've had some people come back. Number two, second problem, has been our bullpen. Three guys that had around 2.5 ERAs have over 5 ERAs this year. Guys like Fernando Salas, Mark Zepchinski. These are key members of our bullpen, and they aren't getting it done. In my eyes, the Cardinals need a veteran relief pitcher to really help out. But again, injuries kind of cloud your vision when you're looking at what this team needs, considering all the injuries. The Cardinals over the last two games, we get John Jay back, we get Matt Carpenter back, and Rafael Furcal is hitting again. And he is such a key. He got on base 4 games today. We killed the Royals yesterday 11-4. Just smash him, honestly. And then today, 8-2. Holiday got on base many times. Alan Craig, they both hit home runs. It was a great day for offense, and I'm extremely happy to see the Cardinals finally get this slow offense moving and on the road. So the Cardinals, not too much to talk about other than I think that they're going to go on a roll. The thing that the Cardinals, they don't need to worry about record. They need to worry about catching the Reds. That's all they need to worry about, and they're playing the Reds soon, I believe. So hopefully we can see an exciting series there. So let's go back to the Cubs, though, because the Cubs really, in my eyes, a lot more to talk about than the Cardinals. The Cardinals, we won the World Series last year. We're trying to get in the playoffs this year. We have a great team, a lot of injuries. We're going to have to wait and see until we start picking up our play. The Cubs, though, in a few weeks, the trade deadline will be up. And teams have been prepping for months and months. It goes deadline to deadline to deadline. And the trade deadline has been the next big thing for a long time. We're going to be talking about one team in particular that has had some rumors about a potential blockbuster deal and why I don't see why it's likely that that would happen. But number one, we're going to look at 3 to 5 guys that could potentially be traded by the Cubs, as the Cubs have been open to trading everyone. First, we're going to talk about Ryan Dempster. Now, the next picture you're going to see here in about 2 seconds is a picture of the Orioles jersey. Why? Because the Orioles have been linked to a trade that would potentially include Dempster, Garza, Soriano. Gold Sports, tell me the chances that all 3 of those guys would be shipped to Baltimore Orioles at this point.
I know I've heard the rumors about that, but at this point I see it's very highly unlikely that all 3 of them would go to the same team. I think if the Cubs are going to trade all 3 of those guys, they're going to spread them out to separate teams, try to get as many good prospects as they can. I don't think the Baltimore Orioles would have enough prospects to get all 3 of those guys. I don't think it'd be in the Cubs' best interest to send all 3 of those guys to any one place, let alone Baltimore. So I honestly think there's very little chance that that deal gets done.
I completely agree. I think it's kind of a joke report, but it was by CBS Baltimore, and it says they're serious players. Now, it's possible that they're discussing a deal, but in my eyes, I don't see how they would get Matt Garza and Ryan Dempster and even Alfonso Soriano, who the Cubs would have to eat up most of the contract, without including top second baseman or shortstop prospect Manny Machado, who could eventually actually move to second if they traded Darwin Marnie, got a nice return for them. That would be getting maximum value. And without getting someone like Dylan Bundy, the Orioles do not have a huge, a lot of depth in their pitching. When you look at the top prospects, you see Dylan Bundy, your eyes light up if you're a Cubs fan. But the chances that the Orioles are willing to give Dylan Bundy away, I don't see it happening, but I also don't see them, trading for, three of the Cubs players that are on the trading block. What I do see as possibility is Alfonso Soriano going to the Orioles. Who do I see someone like Matt Garza going to? I see either an AL East team, which we'll talk about a different AL East team a little later, or the Braves. As a Cubs fan, Gold Sports, who would you like to see the Cubs get from the Braves? Or if you don't have any specific names, would you like to see them at least make a trade with the Braves, knowing they have some top pitching prospects in mind, rather than a team like the Orioles?
Yeah, if we're gonna go after like young pitching, Matt Garza, I'd rather see Ryan Dempster go to the Braves, honestly, because again, as a Cubs fan, you'd like to see him keep Garza if they can.
Yeah.
And the Braves obviously are reportedly wanting Ryan Dempster. And yeah, you're not going to get as good of prospects for Ryan Dempster, but with how Ryan Dempster's pitching right now, he's going to be an asset to any team. And Matt Garza's familiar with the AL East, and I think AL East teams are going to give the Cubs more just for that reason. Ryan Dempster, not too familiar with any of the AL teams. It's a much safer bet that he'd pitch good in the National League, and I could see him going to the Braves. But yeah, I could definitely see Matt Garza going somewhere in the AL East, and that's probably what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Tampa. I can see him fitting somewhere. New York or Boston comes to mind there. I mean, the Orioles, it's kind of a long shot, but the Orioles would much rather go with a guy like Matt Garza, who can last a few years, than a rental like Ryan Dempster, in my mind, for the Orioles. But I could definitely see them getting Soriano. Interesting. I think the Dodgers could end up with Dempster, or the Braves. Obviously, I see that fitting there. If he was traded to the Dodgers, I think someone like Alan Webster, top 5 prospect. Chris Reed would be a good guy to get for the Cubs. Alan Webster's like the 3rd top prospect, so the Cubs can get some top pitching prospects. If I was a Cub fan, though, I'd want Matt Garza traded to the Braves for this reason. They have 2 of their top prospects that are potential aces or number 2 starters, and that's not even including Julio Teheran. If you include him, that's 3. Now, do I think the Braves would, say, okay, Teheran go over there and Delgado and Vizcaino? No, I don't think they would give away 2 of them or maybe even 1 of them, but I think they would have to give maybe a guy like Randall Delgado and a few other top prospects there to get Matt Garza. But I understand as a Cub fan, you'd also want them to keep him. He's a younger player, someone you want to build your pitching staff around. So it makes sense either way. So we talk about the Braves potentially, the Boston Red Sox, the Braves. The Red Sox, Matt Barnes come to mind, Brandon Jacobs. Bard is even a possibility. They said they'd be open to trading him. Definitely a possibility if you're trading for someone like Garza. But let's talk about this AL East team, the different AL East teams for a little bit. It's just a quick rundown. So let's start off with the Boston Red Sox. What are your thoughts on the Red Sox this year, and what do they need to do to get back to 500 and in contention, really, with the rest of this AL East division?
I definitely think the first thing is, get their chemistry down. I think they can't be having all these problems with Kevin Youkilis and Bobby Valentine and having all these position battles and things. I think if they're going to want to have a chance, they're going to have to settle out their positions. They're going to either have to get rid of Kevin Youkilis or figure out what they're doing with him. I think definitely it's going to be getting rid of Kevin Youkilis, keeping all your pitchers healthy, making sure they're doing that. And yeah, if Will Middlebrooks starts to hit and they can get rid of Kevin Youkilis and get some nice players for him, I definitely think I could see him going on a run late after the All-Star break.
I agree. I think there's a lot of guys that are injured on that team that when they come back, I think people are going to kind of forget about them. Remember, it wasn't that long ago where they were the favorites to win the World Series. I think it seems so long ago, but I think it was last year. I mean, there's so much so much hype on all the additions they make. It didn't work out. It was only one season, guys. They still almost made the playoffs last year. So don't forget about the Red Sox. Now, the Rays, on the other hand, Matt Moore has been a little bit of a disappointment this year. I think he will mature, he'll grow, and he'll definitely improve. They've had to deal with some injuries, but they did pick up Brooks Conrad. Now, not a big name at all, but the Rays, I watched a video on Joe Madden, and if there's something you take out of that, it's that he makes ordinary players extraordinary. I think he really finds a way to get the most out of his players, and someone like Brooks Conrad, a versatile guy, somewhat seems like just a perfect guy for Joe Madden's team. So, you know what? That might be a nice addition for the Rays. The Rays will be in there in the hunt all year. They'll either get the wild card or they might win the division. The way the Yankees are playing, though, wow. I mean, they're on a roll. They don't have Michael Pineda. They've had some injuries, but they're on a roll. They've lost a few. I don't know if they might be losing tonight. I can check later. But tomorrow will be a great game to watch. R.A. Dickey, CC Sabathia. Not too worried about the Yankees, though. They'll be right up there. The Blue Jays, an interesting team, as Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista, and Colby Rasmus, all three of them are hot. What are your thoughts on the Blue Jays' recent success, and can they keep it up? That is the question.
I do think they're an interesting story. I just think this American League East is going to be too tough for them this year. Maybe in the upcoming years, but I think definitely they'll have a chance. They'll probably keep it close for a little while, but I think eventually they'll start to fade away as teams like Boston start to figure out what they're doing. And Tampa Bay, New York, they're obviously going to be there all season. So I just don't think there's enough room for Toronto to be a contender in this division.
Yeah, I agree, and it's interesting the recent drafts that they've done. They've done the anti-Moneyball approach. Instead of focusing on certain stats, they've really focused. They've actually hired more scouts. They've really focused on someone who, whether a guy has the makeup of a star and all this stuff. And they actually did that a few years ago in a draft, and we'll see comparing the two. The Moneyball draft produced, I think 3 or 4 major leaguers, including Nick Swisher, and see how this anti-Moneyball draft compares to it. But yeah, I mean, I think the Blue Jays are definitely a legit team, but do I think that they compete in this certain division? I think it kind of sucks because there's a lot of good Blue Jays fans. It's a loyal fan base. If they're in any other division, they would be getting more attention. They would be getting more media, and they would be getting more respect. But they are in the AL East, and it's an extremely tough division. But if they can win it, it'll be one of the biggest deals in baseball for an extremely long time because, I mean, no one thinks the Jays can win versus the Yankees, Red Sox, and now even Tampa Bay. But the Orioles are only like a game and a half out. Even though the Yankees won 9 in a row, the Orioles are very close. So I think they need to make a move, and they need to make a move quick. I think Alfonso Soria... Sorry about the cutoff, guys, if you are still watching. Thank you if you still are. I have an important announcement before I tell you what went wrong in the video, which made it to stop. But the announcement is if you want to be on this talk show and you want to talk about your favorite team and talk to us about your favorite team, we would love to have you on. I mean, we would love to find out more information about your team and not just the teams that we like and get some good insight if you're a big fan. So message us and we can have you call us on Skype while we're recording and you can be on the show. So please don't be afraid to message me. It will be an honor. But secondly, the reason why the video got messed up is we recorded a 20-minute video, had a 15-minute time limit, and when I would try to cut it out, it would cut out the picture, but it wouldn't cut out the audio, and I wanted to make a separate video of our all-star picks, but it was not working. I was trying to copy it and put it in a new project, wasn't working, so I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this shortened version, and what we're going to do is make a very big, special, big deal out of the All-Star Game, make it a special when we get a little more near the All-Star Game, when we get the final ballots of who won, maybe who should have won, and we can talk about the All-Star Game, maybe who can win, the outcomes of it, and then we can talk more about the trade deadline there. So I'm sorry we had a shortened version of the podcast. I think I'll make another video or two tonight on some shorter news, not a full podcast. Gold Sports, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. We're going to have to record. I know we've had some problems with the iMovie, and I apologize. But if you're still watching, I'm sorry, guys. We're going to record. We're going to have a special on the All-Star, and I'm sorry that information about Alfonso Soriano did get cut off, but we were just going to get to the All-Star Game and our picks for the position, the surprise position player and pitcher of the week were R.A. Dickey for having 2 one-hitters and Pedro Alvarez a week, 5 home runs. Great week for him. So you missed that. Other than that, you just missed some All-Star Game talk. So thank you guys for watching. Zombie Talk 1, 2, 3, Gold Sports. Thanks, guys. Sorry about the mess up there. Thanks.